Hey there guys, Adam here for another video, and we're continuing on. This is part 2 of our look at Innistrad Crimson Vow, the best cards for EDH. This is blue and black, and again I've distilled it down to like the best cards that I think can go into Commander that are in these colors. So yeah, let's get right on into it. Alright, so first off we're going to talk about Cemetery Illuminator. 3 mana, 2/3 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, we exile a card from a graveyard. That's pretty decent. It doesn't have flash, which is a little bit, but there are ways to give it flash. It is a spirit. There are some other synergies that we can work with here. We can look at the top card of our library at any time. Once each turn we may cast a spell from the top of our library if it shares a card type with the card that we exiled with Cemetery Illuminator. So this is pretty good, especially if you are in a similar game plan to what your opponents are playing. Most people are going to be playing creatures, let's be real, and you're going to be playing probably mostly spirits with your deck here in this sort of style. So I think this could see play in many spirit tribal decks. I don't think it's got super duper too many other applications, but someone might want to use it. It's nice just to be able to see the top card of your library, essentially scrying one all the time. You know what's coming. And if you've exiled a creature or an instant or sorcery, if your deck's really built around instant sorceries, you can find great success with being able to cast things off the top at any point in the game. Yes, sure, you can only cast one thing per turn, but still that's pretty good, especially if you've got instant and sorcery, or instant or sorcery, especially instant, because you can just like cast an instant off the top of your deck every player's turn, especially if you've got a lot of cheap cantrips and that sort of stuff. So I think this can see some play in some decks really well. Next, necro duality. This is probably strictly just a zombie card, and we're going to talk a lot about just purely zombie cards, but there's a lot of nice zombie cards in this set. So 4 mana enchantment. Whenever a non-token zombie ETBs under our control, we create a token that's a copy of that creature. Like, it doesn't work with legendary. We're always going to legend rule ourselves. Yeah, sure, cool. But if our legendary creatures have some sort of ETB, we'll at least get that as well. So that's nice. Or some death triggers, whatever. And zombies do care about death triggers. So I really think that this card, pure zombie tribal staple card. If you're trying to do something weird with like some random zombies in your deck, I don't know how you're doing that without being zombie tribal, but this could be decent with some cards if you're running enough zombie cards. But again, then you're just zombie tribal. So yeah, I think this is a decent card if you're in that sort of style of deck and you're in blue, of course. Next, morehole mimic. You may have 4 mana, 0/0. May have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it's a spirit in addition to its other types. Like, just a nice little clone, whatever, that's fine. But its backside, ghastly mimicry and aura, which we can disturb into play for 5 mana. At the beginning of our upkeep, we create a token that's a copy of enchanted creature, except it's a spirit in addition to its other type. So if we've got any like token synergies, doubling season, parallel lives, anointed procession, this sort of stuff, we get even more tokens. If we've got any other sort of token synergies, this is really great. We just keep creating copies and copies and copies of the best thing that's on the field. It doesn't have to be our own thing. But of course, if we're copying our own thing, I think it's nicer or better, because then you have control of knowing what you're going to copy. You're going to go, okay, cool, I'm just going to copy my Timeglyph or whatever. I'm not going to go into every single creature, or I'm going to copy my Random 7. I don't think you can copy Planeswalker, but yeah, you can copy any creature. So you just it's like Progemina Mimic, but on an aura, which is pretty darn good, I think. So any deck that's using cards like Progenitor Mimic and, all these sorts of clone effects, there's just like pure clone decks as well. So any deck that's like that where you're cloning a lot of stuff, I think this can be really great. It doesn't say non-token, so you can just put it on a token and then just keep creating tokens and tokens and tokens of your tokens. So, that could be another thing that you could do. So I definitely think it can see some play in some token-based blue decks. Alright, I want to talk about Overcharged Amalgam just for a sec because I think it's okay. 4 mana, 3/3 flash flyer. Exploits. When it exploits, we can counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Like, it's a 4 mana counter spell on a stick. That's what this is. There's some other 4 mana counter spell creatures. Mystic Snake and the one from Ravnica, I can't remember its name right now. So it is a bit overcosted for what you want for a counterspell. You usually want your counterspells to be free or 1 or 2 mana, really. Like the best ones are basically 2 mana, besides the ones that are free, because that's where most of the real flexibility is at. But getting a 3/3 flyer at flash speed for 2, not too bad, but again not super exciting. Nice, decent, blocker maybe here and there, but the whole exploit thing is where I think this is, you might want to care about countering a spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Mostly the spell part is going to be the most important part of this. Sometimes somebody will have their Planeswalker ultimate and you want to stop that or something like that, but the other abilities on this aren't that relevant. You just want this mainly to exploit things, to sacrifice things. So, and you can sacrifice itself, but whatever. You just want to find things that, with your decayed zombies and things like this that are creatures but not real creatures. You can just flash this in when they're going to die or whatnot, and get a 3/3 and do something else with it. So I think you can see some play if you're having some sacrifice synergies, which is a bit weird in blue. But next, Dying to Serve. I think this is a cool enchantment. 3 mana. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, you create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. This ability only triggers once each turn. There's a few cards what's it called? The Rack card. I can't remember its name. No. But they basically trigger whenever you discard cards. The Lizard guy and whatever that necro guy is called, I can't remember. Whenever you discard cards, you get all these different effects, whatnot. So if you've got ways to instant speed discard stuff, especially if you're playing some sort of graveyard deck or whatnot, it can provide some nice little value. So I think that some people might use this in some decks, especially if you're making your opponents discard every turn or making everyone discard every turn. It might be good because, you just I get free zombies out of it. And, I'm playing a graveyard deck anyway, and it really hurts my opponents. So getting this 2/2 zombie is just a nice little bonus. Or you've got some other synergies in your deck where you're just looting every single turn, things like this, whatnot. So yeah, if you've got some of those cantrippy discard outlet sort of cards, Faithless Lootings and the like, I think this could be a good card that you might want to consider to put in your deck. I want to talk about Demonic Bargain just for a sec. I think it's okay, but not amazing. So I think some people might want to try it. 3 mana sorcery. You exile the top 13 cards of your library. Then it's just a tutor. You search your library for any card. You put that card in your hand and then shuffle. So Another cheap-ish, it'll be budget tutor, like if you haven't got access to the more expensive tutors, this might be okay. It comes with that very big downside of having to exile the top 13 cards of your library, but if you can find what you need in some combo that's in your deck, of course, most people want to go with Thassa's Oracle or whatnot, but if you exile your Thassa's Oracle or whatnot, then of course you might be in a bit of trouble. But again, like this exiling your part of your library could be an upside if you can find something else, Labman, Jace, these other cards, whatnot. So you're bound to have one or some of them. And if you have like cards like Pull from Eternity or whatnot, things like that, it doesn't matter if you exile your Thassa's Oracle. You're just like, okay, cool, I'm going to put it back in my graveyard and then reanimate it somehow or something like that if you want to go around that route. There are ways around some of these cards. Some of the Eldrazi processes and whatnot are a bit underused and whatnot. So you could use something like that. So it doesn't even matter that much, I don't think, if you actually do exile the card that you are looking for. Like, of course, you actually need a lot of those synergies along with this. So do you really want to put like 5 or 6, 7 or 8 other cards that are in your deck just to work with this one other card, and it's not guaranteed that you're going to get this card? And then, is this card good enough for the decks that would actually run it, where it's like, oh yes, I'm trying to get to my Thassa's Oracle, plus I'm trying to exile or get rid of most of my library, so Thassa's Oracle can win me the game, whatnot, or I can win the game with Labman or whatnot. I don't know, but there might be some more people that are on a budget that want a card like this, so I definitely think you can see some play. Next, Falconwrath Forebear. 3 mana, flying, 3/1. It can't block, which probably irrelevant. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, we create a blood token. That's kind of nice. We sacrifice 2 blood tokens, return her from the graveyard to the battlefield. Like, this is not terrible, but it's not amazing, but I do think that it is pretty decent. For certain decks, like my Olivia deck, that I'm going to be talking about later on, in a deck tech, but I think that this can go in some decks, especially if you're caring about discarding and cheating things out. Like, there's a 3/1 flyer, not the best, but still it punches hard, or fairly hard, and flying is pretty difficult to block, so I always recommend people to have reach or flying, because as soon as somebody's got flying, it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm dead. So it's one of those things. So it's like, I think this is pretty decent and can go in some decks. Thinking about putting it in my Olivia deck, definitely. And any deck that's, reanimating stuff, it can reanimate itself. So that can be really good. Keep making more and more blood tokens to put more things in the graveyard and things like that to reanimate them later. So I think it can be really good. Next, Headless Rider. It's a 3 mana zombie, 3/1. Whenever it or another non-token zombie we control dies, we create a 2/2 zombie creature token. That is pretty decent. Any of these effects that are, like limitless or not once per turn or once per phase or whatever, things like that, are really good, and they can be so easily abused, especially since it's as well. So, you can have all your zombie sacrifice shenanigans going on. You have your grave crawlers and whatnot. You just sack your grave crawler, you bring your grave crawler back, and you've got another zombie. You've got, all these death triggers as well. So you've got all these ETB triggers. You've got all these zombies. You're amassing a field of like many, many zombies. It's a zombie apocalypse. So, I really think that this can be great, especially if you can like sacrifice things and play things on other people's turns, like Gravecrawler and things like that. If you can play it with Flash, and you have the ability to untap during opponent's turns or whatnot, things like that, then it can be way better, because you just like amass a huge army of zombies, and then come to your turn, you can attack with all your zombies or sacrifice all your zombies, drain everybody out, things like that. So there's all kinds of things that you can do with this. This is a really good card, mainly just for zombies, but again, that's fine. If you're playing a zombie deck, you probably want this card. Archschool of Thraben, another zombie. We're going to talk about a lot of zombies, as I said. 3 mana, 3/2. When it or another zombie we control dies, we look at the top card of our library. If it's a zombie card, we may reveal it and put it into our hand. If we don't put it into our hand, we may put it into our graveyard. So it's sort of super surveils. This is nice for an uncommon. It essentially can draw us cards. And again, if we want to, we can put some of our zombies into the graveyard, which is maybe where we want them anyway, so we can cast them back from the graveyard and do all sorts of things. Or if we're just bricking on lands and things like this, we can put those lands into the graveyard. It provides us with a nice source of card advantage, again, because we're probably, like Zombie Tribal is usually an aristocrats sort of style deck where you're sacrificing things and doing all kinds of stuff and reanimating things and all that sort of stuff. So again, this can be really powerful, getting you access to more cards and whatnot. So I think it is a great card if you're playing Zombie Tribal. Fellstinger next. 3 mana, 3/2 zombie with Death Touch and Exploit. Whenever it exploits a creature, target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. This is just nice for us. We're going to draw 2 cards and lose 2 life for 3 mana and have this 3/2 Death Touch. Again, zombies have a sacrificing sub theme and whatnot, so this is a great card for that sort of style. And we can sacrifice this thing to itself, so we don't even have to have anything else out. We can just have this thing out, or this thing in hand, play it, draw 2 cards, find more things to sacrifice and whatnot to try to fuel our game plan and whatnot. We can, reanimate it when it dies, things like that. We can sacrifice it to other effects in case it's going to get exiled and whatnot, or whatever, which might happen, you never know. So, it's a really good card, and I think it's great for Zombie Tribal. But that's pretty much it there for all these cards from the set, for at least black and blue. So yeah, that's all I've got to talk about for these cards. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of all these cards. Write your thoughts down there in the comments below. Be coming out with the third part, green and lands, very soon, and then of course artifacts and multicolored stuff and color stuff after that. So got a lot more coming. I still am thinking about how to do the review of the specific to Commander cards that are from the set boosters and bundle boxes and that sort of thing. So yeah, let me know what you think about that too as well in the comments below. Maybe you guys have an idea. Maybe I'll just do a specific video for all the cards. I don't know yet. But yeah, let me know what you think. I will try to respond to everyone and anyone. Always enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about all these geeky things that I love and that we love and that sort of thing. So yeah, if you have an idea, let me know, and I'll see you down there in the comments below, or I'll see you in the next one. Hey, you've just finished watching one of our videos. A bunch of other videos are popping up on your screen now for you to check out, so why not check them out?